You wrote Shadow Moon and the Willow sequels with George Lucas. A, what was the process like that? And B, what do you make of all the talk of everybody asking everyone under the sun about making that a movie now that sequels are hip?
Sorry. What was it like? Well, it was a hell of a lot of fun. You spend a day with George Lucas, sitting on opposite sides of the desk. He talks, I listen, I nod intelligently. An hour and a half into the morning, I realized that the microphone wasn't plugged in. Oh yeah,
Oh dear.
that was sort of led to a succession of monosyllabic, emphatic expressions of discontent and frustration. He giggled. He didn't giggle. He laughed, chuckled, in a sort of I've seen that shit before. And then it was a matter of 3 years of writing. And sort of threading it together. Was it fun? Yes. Was it successful? It depends on your perspective. I mean, from I think Bantam's perspective, it certainly it made its money. It justified the hardcover, softcover. I mean, the first book did in excess of 200,000 copies and stayed in print for quite a few years, which is very good for a sequel. From Lucas's point of view, does it justify a 9-figure investment in a sequel? That's, that's a whole different level of calculation and demand over which I have no voice whatsoever.
Yeah.
And plus, Val Kilmer would not look good in that outfit anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Val Kilmer's character isn't part of the series.
Oh, is he? I thought you didn't read them. Well, see,
You're asking questions? You didn't read the novels?
He did.
Shame on you.
No, I thought it was,
No, I read the novel.
I mean, the whole point of the series was that of the book, the directive we got from Lucas right off the bat was we drew a line in the sand, and there was the movie continuity and there was the book continuity, and the book, the only characters we were actively allowed to take with us were Elora Danan, Willow, and the two the brownies. And even then, the brownies, I invented 2 brand new brownies until we were told, no, bring them back. So Lucasfilm changed its mind between concept and execution. That's why book 1 is that's why there's this prologue that wasn't there in the first draft, because we got a note just before, literally 6 weeks before publication, saying, where's Mad Mardigan? Where's, and we're going, what? You told us not to use them. And I said, oh, no. Well, well, you can use them now. So we, but
you've got no proof. If the microphone was never on, they couldn't, go back to is that, so I'm just backing up because I'm trying to, the everything was based on a 90-minute conversation that was never recorded.
No, it was based on an 8-hour.
Oh, okay.
No, we started at like something like 8 in the morning and went on till about dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
I just fucked up the first hour and a half.
There's probably
something like 7 hours more tape.
Yeah.
Believe me, I ended up using it for 3 years, just bouncing back and forth and listening. But it was basically a matter of figuring out what he was thinking of in terms of the concept and the world, and then me building a world around it, because my thought right from the start was to branch away from what the film had presented. We'd seen that, but that was just a little portion of a much broader canvas. And what might that entail? Where could it take us? What could be fun for the next 1,000-odd pages, which is over the 3 volumes what it ended up being. And how could we surprise the readers and show them aspects of this world and these characters that they'd never before imagined. In the sense, Elora growing up. Well, it wasn't about Mad Mardigan. He's, for want of a better excuse, this is about, he was dad. They were off. They were frozen in amber in oh God, I keep thinking, I can't remember the name. I keep thinking San Francisco, because that was essentially how it translated out in the worldview that we designed for it. But this is Elora's story, and the people she met, and the life she was growing up into. The little kid, well, the baby growing up into a girl, growing up into a young woman, and the life and people she discovered along the way, and what that meant. It was what happened next in the broadest possible scheme. What happened before was done.
Yeah.
And the characters were happily in stasis until the conclusion, when they all woke up and could rejoin the fray. But that was the end of my story. And that was the fun. And if they ever decided to do anything of it, or if Lucas were to sit down and say, well, the book was nice, but this is what I really had in mind. That's they're his properties. He can do with them what he will.
How did you get involved with that? I mean, did they call you? Was it an idea you had? Was that something you were interested in, or how did they arrive at you?
Oh no, I think they called Bantam. Bantam called me. I called, and they set it all up. So that's more it came to me from Betsy Mitchell at Bantam at the time, and it was fun. But no, it wasn't it wasn't that I went trolling over to, up to the mansion and knocking on the door and saying, I have this great concept for Willow. No, because then as now, I want my goal is to do my stuff. Is to try and be as prolific as Warren Ellis and Neil, and in something other than my challenge is that doing so while sustaining enough income to put my kids through school, and when you're just getting into 7th grade, that's a challenge these days.